No. They put you in.
Yeah.
Nicole.
Okay, it may take just a few moments for the
Thing to warm back up.
heat up again.
All right. So that's going to take a second. I think our... All right. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Ian, and this is Nicole. Our group mates are outside. And our, I guess, module is about IFSPs, IEPs, IDEA, and utilizing the SLPA appropriately in the school system. All right. So, studying alone in the library, an SLPA 119 student finds herself struggling to remember Module 1 facts.
Module 1 is so hard. How am I supposed to remember all this information? All these acronyms, too many acronyms. How am I supposed to remember all the do's and don'ts of being a SLPA? I've been working too hard. I need to take a step back. Maybe a nap will help.
As the student sleeps, enter 3 SLPA angels, always on the lookout to lend a hand to future SLPs.
Hey, check out that 18-point font. Nice.
Poor thing.
I remember those days.
Now that she's sleeping, let's work some magic through her subconscious.
Well, first we can start with some of those acronyms.
Here are our acronyms. IDEA, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. IFSP, Individual Family Service Plan. IEP, Individual Education Plan. SLP, I think you guys might know that one. SLPA, Speech Language Pathology Assistant. ASHA, American Speech Language and Hearing Association. HIPAA, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. And last but not least, FERPA, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. All right.
I have an idea. Let's start with IDEA.
All right. IDEA, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, first enacted in Congress in 1975, outlines the rights and regulations for students with disabilities in the U.S. who require special consideration to ensure that they have the opportunity to receive a free, appropriate public education just like other children. Amendments include those two right there, one for school-age children and the other for babies and toddlers. Under IDEA, children are entitled to a free and appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment possible. And in addition, some children are entitled to early intervention, meaning that they receive services earlier, and an extended school year. IDEA specifies how schools must provide or deny services, how parents can fight school districts for services that have been denied, which they feel were appropriate for their child.
Let's move on to IFSP.
IFSP, that's an Individual Family Service Plan. For children under 3 and 4, an IFSP plan is to help a child identify a child's current developmental levels, strengths, needs, likes, and dislikes, identify what goals and milestones are appropriate, and to determine what services will be provided to achieve them. IFSPs are specified to be in the child's natural environment, usually meaning home, daycare, etc. And it also provides a roadmap for early intervention.
How about IEP and what it stands for and who it affects?
All right, so next one is the IEP. It's the Individualized Educational Plan. IDEA requires that public schools create an IEP for every child with an educational disability. The IEP is meant to address each child's unique learning issues and include specific educational goals. The IEP is a legally binding document. The school must provide everything it promises in the IEP. An IEP must include by law a statement of the child's present level of performance, or how the child's doing in school now, the annual educational goals, also the triennial educational goals, it's not up there, special educational support services that the school will provide to help reach those goals, appropriate modifications and accommodations that the school will provide to help reach those goals, including accommodations allowed when taking class notes and standardized tests, how and when the school will measure the progress towards a child's predetermined annual goals, and transition planning to prepare teens for life after high school. That part is really important because a lot of times when kids are in school, they don't have that transition planning, and that can really set them up for failure in the future. All right, so here's a quick little thing that talks about the differences between a family service plan versus an IEP. One focuses more on the child and the family, which is the IFSP. It's much more broad in its scope. It helps families and children through infancy and through the younger years, where the IEP focuses on children from 3 to age 21. And that focuses more on schools. The other one doesn't. All right, and I think that's pretty much quite a bit of information in depth and detail there. So let's move on to utilizing the SLPA appropriately in the public school system.
Now we need to cover SLPAs, how they are utilized appropriately in the public school system.
Yes, we need to make sure she knows the do's and don'ts.
I think
So here's the scope of practice. We've all seen the ASHA scope of practice that was made in 2013. It presents a model for the training, use, supervision of support personnel, in our case, SLPAs, in speech-language pathology. Specifies their qualifications, responsibilities for the SLPA. It also provides guidance regarding ethical considerations when support personnel provide clinical services, and it also outlines the supervisory responsibilities for the supervising SLP. So, SLPAs must self-identify to families, students, patients, clients, staff, and others verbally and in writing, and or with titles on their name badge in what? 18.5. We must also exhibit compliance with HIPAA and FERPA regulations. Oh, what do those mean? Oh yeah, we know, because we already said that. Reimbursement requirements and the SLPA's responsibilities. We also must assist the SLP with speech, language, and hearing screenings, but without, and I stress, without clinical interpretation. We also must assist the SLP during assessment of students, patients, and clients, exclusive of administration and or interpretation. Assist the SLP with bilingual translation during screening and assessment activities, exclusive of interpretation. Oh, I see a trend there. Exclusive of interpretation. Follow the documented treatment plans or protocols developed by the SLP. Provide guidance treatment via telepractice to students. We can use Skype, we can use telephones, we can use email. You just got to be able to keep in contact. Who are selected by the supervising SLP as appropriate for the service delivery model. We also must document the student, patient, and client performance, tallying data for the SLP to use, preparing charts, records, and graphs, to report this information to the supervising SLP. Oh boy, more dots. Program and provide instruction in the use of augmentative and alternative communication devices, AACs, demonstrate or share information with patients, families, and staff regarding feeding strategies developed and directed by the SLP, and also serve as an interpreter for patients, clients, students, and families who do not speak English. And I think that's the last one. We must provide services under SLP supervision in another language for individuals who do not speak English and for English language learners. So what may or must we do? We must assist with clerical duties such as preparing materials and scheduling activities directed by the SLP, perform checks and maintenance of the equipment, assist with departmental operations, scheduling, record keeping, safety maintenance of supplies and equipment, and promote early identification, early intervention activities, present primary information to individuals and groups known to be at risk for communication disorders, and also advocate for individuals and families through community awareness, literacy, education, and training programs to promote and facilitate access to full participation in communication, including the elimination of societal, cultural, and linguistic barriers. And we also must provide information to emergency response agencies for individuals who have communication and, what happened there? Who have communication and or swallowing disorders, advocate at the state, local, and national levels for improved public policies affecting services and research funding, support the supervising SLP in their research projects, in service training, public relation programs, and marketing programs. We also must participate actively in our professional organizations such as CASHA, ASHA, and whatever ones that are in the state that we live in. And there's a bunch of things that we must not do. We must not represent ourselves, or SLPAs rather, as SLPs. As we've seen in the other presentations here, it just doesn't work. We must not perform standardized or non-standardized diagnostic tests, informal or formal evaluations, or swallowing screenings and checklists. Must not perform procedures that require high-level clinical acumen and technical skill. Tabulate or interpret results and observations of feeding and swallowing evaluations performed by the SLP. Participate in formal parent conferences, case conferences, or any interdisciplinary team without the presence of the supervising SLP or other designated SLP. This is really important for IEPs or individualized education plans. We must not provide interpretive information to the student, patient, client, or family, or others regarding the patient or client's status or service. Right? Develop, modify student, patient, or client's treatment plan in any way. Assist with students, patients, or clients without following the individualized treatment plan prepared by the certified SLP and or without access to supervision. We can't sign any formal documents. We cannot select students, patients, or clients for service. We cannot discharge students, patients, or clients from services. And we cannot make referrals for additional service. Nor can we disclose confidential or clinical information, develop or determine the swallowing strategies or precautions for patients, family, or staff, treat medically fragile students, clients, patients independently, or design or select AAC communication devices and systems. All right.
I think our work here is done.
Good luck. Hopefully you won't need us again, but if you do, we'll see you in Module 2.
Well, that was a strange dream. IDEA. I have an idea what that is now. Oh, I gotta go. Module 1 test is today.
The SLPA student runs off to her SLPA 119 class to take her Module 1 quiz. I hope it's an A, and after all this help, I bet it is. Any questions?
Of all those terms, and it's a big alphabet.